I think this is where the magic really happens. It's when you're able to push yourself out of that comfort zone and create something that becomes something new for you. And I think the collection is absolutely beautiful. It came out so nice, mixed with these techniques and innovations and materials that we're very known for.
I've mentioned this before, but teamwork is literally one of the most important evolutionary elements that we can highlight, like in history, in art, in science, in business. Everything that we know today of being like extreme evolution has come from people putting their minds together and challenging each other and filling out the gaps of other people, like helping each other with, the things that might not be able to be solved like completely alone. We have this idea that the individual is the brilliant one. You highlight that in so many instances, but really a lot of these people, they have come to where they are through the help of so many people along the way, and they won't be able to really make happen what they're doing without the help of teamwork. So it's to say that you might have brilliant individuals, but really everything is obsolete without teamwork. Just putting together all the multiple different strengths, the different blind spots that individuals might have, you can solve those with the help of an amazing team, and working together and sort of like perfect synchrony is really the most beautiful thing ever. When everybody sort of comes together and helps out on a project, I think is probably one of the most powerful things that you can experience. And that goes from everything, like everything within meaningful times in history or within innovation ideas, whatever that might be, when an entire team comes together and creates things that is just like one of the most beautiful things ever. And it might be, a bit over exaggerating to talk about, like a fashion brand being an important part of this whole thing. But I think it's just a way of showing that there are so many aspects within creating what we're doing, even at this micro level of a fashion brand, that is only possible if you have a team, and is only possible if you have those multiple different angles coming together and creating this bigger picture altogether. And I think you can zoom in and out of this, like you can do it on a very specific level, or you can zoom out and say, okay, some of the greatest things that have happened in history came from teamwork. I just think it's important to highlight how much we need to work together in creating and in taking these steps together and coming together and really utilizing our skills for the sake of like one greater mission.
So we just arrived in Seoul, in South Korea, staying in SONGZIO, which is like a very vibrant neighborhood full of both interesting stores, new cafes, but also mixed with all the old factories. So definitely a very dynamic and vibrant place within the city of Seoul. I wanted to just quickly reflect on the entire reason why we're here. So we're doing a collaboration with SONGZIO, and wanted to just reflect on what it means to kind of like do a collaboration, because for me it's not so much about, let's say, merging two aesthetics. It's more about merging two intentions, because I feel like a lot of the times the only reason why a collaboration works is if the two different sides, they're willing to kind of like explore something new and something unknown. Because if you just take two different worlds and they aren't willing to kind of like stretch, you don't get something new and interesting. I think obviously it's important that you don't lose your identity in the process. You have to have like an overlap, but at the same time, you have to be willing to kind of like expand your own universe. And I think we learn that a lot collaborating with different people. Like we collaborated with Technique, which is a highly technical universe and much more rooted in a whole different industry than we are. And same thing goes for Alpine Stars, this whole motorsports DNA, being willing to incorporate and stretch your own universe, but still having that same intention, I think is extremely important for collaboration to be a collaboration. I think it comes down to understanding, like what are the different aspects that you can play around with in a collaboration. Everything from craft to culture to technique to technology. All of these elements, I think, mixed with, let's say, the different design philosophies. And I think that's also why the whole theme of fencing came up for us when we were collaborating with SONGZIO. Fencing has this like interesting point because it sits in this intersection between something that is very heritage bound and something that is very focused on innovation. It's like a centuries old tradition, but filled with a lot of technical materials, all of these things that are focused on like protection and performance and all of these things, and obviously also a lot of technology, because the way that you fence now, that you have a fencing battle, is full of technology. So the uniforms, the equipment, the protective layers, they're all full of things that are come from heritage, which is something that represents SONGZIO, a very heritage bound brand. And it's combined with these elements of technology and technical materials, and that's obviously where we come in. So I think this is definitely a place that speaks the language of both brands in a perfectly elegant way. I think it's about this balance of heritage and innovation. So for us, it's both a metaphor for what we created, but it's also obviously an aesthetical reference. You have a lot of aesthetical references in the collection that come from the actual art of fencing. So yeah, I wanted to just make sure that that was understood from everyone. And I think the collection is absolutely beautiful. It came out so nice. And it's, again, the perfect balance of something that both feels like a silhouette that's interesting from a more Korean perspective, mixed with these techniques and innovations and materials that we're very known for. So it sits perfectly within those two worlds, and I'm super happy with how everything came out. I guess another thing I wanted to talk about is just the path of getting there. And a big thing when you're doing a collaboration is being able to let go and let like the counterpart interact with your world. Because if you're just designing through the lens of someone else, it doesn't feel like a collaboration. It has to be someone else that comes up with something, and then you add something, and it becomes this like playful ping pong of design and communication and everything. And I think that's where it gets really interesting. That's like, to me, co-creation. That's where you get out of the comfort zone, but you create something that is much more unique than if you were to just like slap your logo on something. And then obviously appreciating that process, appreciating how it expands your world, appreciating how it can get new perspectives to what you're doing, and letting that be a big part of the whole process as well. Is this idea of like you expanding your horizon, expanding your vision. Specifically, we had these pants that are very different from what we've done before. It's like a drop crotch pant, and it's something that personally I would never do, but seeing them on the model and seeing them within the silhouette, it started to make sense to me. And I thought that that was like extremely interesting, because that's something that I would have never done without this collaboration. And this is something where it pushes my boundaries, it pushes my horizon, it pushes my vision to something new, because somebody else comes in and says, hey, this is interesting to us. Could we see something like this through your lens? And that becomes really interesting. It's a very specific example, but I think if you apply that to multiple different facets of the entire collaboration, I think this is where the magic really happens. It's when you're able to push yourself out of that comfort zone and create something that becomes something new for you. So that was really fascinating and interesting to me.
Last night we had SONGZIO and Heliot Emil dinner and event. So a little bit hungover, cut to the party from last night. So today we have the release, and look at this beautiful, beautiful campaign that we did in the store. I have this amazing space. It's 3 floors. And it's like the 2 first floors are all the clothes, and then the 3rd floor is like gallery space where they exhibit like different artists and different art pieces and that kind of stuff. So that's why it's called Gallery Noir. So you can take a look inside the space. Yeah, we're here doing Heliot Emil pop-up. So these pop-ups have been something that we are doing a lot lately. So basically a pop-up is like the step before you get your own stores. And it's a great way just to, you know, see what is the retail space like. It's the step you do before opening up your own space, and basically it's a great way to just see how, you know, like it is interacting with people, creating your own space, and just basically working with all the elements that retail sort of like demands and creates as well. So we're doing these pop-ups all around the world, but specifically in markets that are very interesting to us. So Japan is a huge market in general for clothes, and especially in our category, and it's doing very well for us. So naturally this is somewhere where we want to be more present. So that's definitely something that we're going to do more of until we open up our actual retail store. We also did one in South Korea earlier this year, and the plan is to do more as well around the world. But yeah, yesterday we were setting up the entire pop-up, and obviously each time our goal is to create something that feels new and interesting. So this time we've done like some, so all around Japan you'll see these can't really see. Oh yeah, actually, just when speaking about it, you'll see as I'm walking up towards one of them. So these vending machines, they're basically everywhere, and it's kind of like, you know, a fun little thing. So we did a Heliot Emil vending machine, so a place where you can go up and you can select your metal Heliot Emil item. That's just like a little fun thing to have at the pop-up. And then we'll have some exclusive pieces, and we'll have like pieces from the collection. We'll have some stuff displayed on the walls, like videos and like that kind of stuff. Look at these beautiful houses. But yeah, so that's the plan with the pop-up right now. I'm on the way there. I'm just walking towards Harajuku in Shibuya, where the pop-up is. So I'll keep you guys posted and obviously show what it looks like.